Got a creative exercise for you today, and I thought we could do this together. So you're going to need a piece of paper or a page from your art journal that has already got some colour on it or some texture on it or a bit of both. Don't overthink it, just pick whatever you have to hand, and if you don't have anything to hand, then pause this video, go throw some colour on a piece of paper or in your art journal and come back to join in again. Don't worry, I'll wait. Right, so you might also need some more paint or other colouring medium, whatever you're using, depending on how your page that you've picked looks. And you'll also want to get a paint pen or a few paint pens. But don't worry, I've listed everything that I've used in a description below so that you can either grab the same thing or use it as a guidance to pick what you need from your stash. Now I'm working in my junk journal and I've picked a really scrappy page of leftover colour. On this page is some ink from ink pad refills, and I've got tissue paper on there as well and some gloss gel. It's actually an experimental page for one of my Blitzy projects. And if you're interested to see what I actually did in that project, then I've put the link to it in the description below. I know I'm having quite a few throwback project flashes at the moment, but this page was calling out to be used, and I thought you might be interested in hearing its story because every page has a story, right? Okay, so I want to make this page even more scrappy, and I have some leftover paint from another project, and I'm going to add it to this page as scrappily as I can. Is that a word? Scrappily? It's a word now. Because I want lots of drops and runs and bubbles of different colours on this page as I can get, because I'm actually looking for contrasts. So have a look at your page, the one that you've picked, and ask yourself if you have enough contrasts on it. Blotches of colours are good, areas of sprinkled colour, or areas of high contrast, such as the plain page against the paint or ink on this page. Or maybe you have areas of light and areas of dark, or perhaps you've used hot colours in some areas and cold colours. It doesn't matter what it is. Anything like that will do. But again, try not to overthink it. And try not to order where you add in the splotches and drips, just let them happen. If your page has already got lots of movement and lots of splotches and contrast, then you could skip this part, you don't need to add any more. But I felt this page needed just a little bit more. Once your page is completely dry, it's time to grab for your paint pen. Now I've gone for black, but pick whatever colour you have or you want to use. It really doesn't matter as long as you can see it on your page. For me, I've got a very easy starter on this page as there seems to be some pen work already peeking through underneath that refill ink layer, and I'm just going to pull it out and add to it a little bit more. And I've got a feeling that's also what led me to pick the black pen to do this. But if you don't have something like that on your page to get you started, then just go for it, randomly add it. And it doesn't matter what it is. We are going to doodle away and not worry too much about it. Any marks will do, anything that you're happy with, that interests you, that pulls you. It can be circles, it can be other shapes, it can be lines, it can be dots. Whatever you're happy and comfortable with. And let's keep it going. I'm going to reflect that first circle that I drew with some part circles around the page to make them look as if they're kind of half hidden under the paint layers. And I'm not trying to plan any of this or decide where to put it. I'm just going for it. But what I am doing is taking patterns and reflecting them in different areas on the page. And they don't have to be exact reflections, but repeats of themes. So for instance, the circle theme here, I've also got a varied petal, flower shape theme going on. And then of course, the way that I'm drawing it with the using of the multiple lines on a shape, and just keep repeating that theme as well. And all these repeats and reflections and themes, you'll just keep seeing as I doodle away. And you'll also notice that I'm not just using one theme or repeat, I'm changing it up a little bit as well. And don't be afraid to add something random in there too, something that isn't repeated. That's another way of adding an interesting contrast. What we're working towards is getting that eye of the observer to travel around the page and find interesting things to linger on before moving on to the next part. Things like clusters often work quite well, as do drawing things that look like they're layered on top of each other, just adding a depth. Now don't forget your splotches of paint, you already have some ready-made shapes there. So use some of these shapes and add them into your Doodle Fest. So I'm going to draw circles around my splotches, and then I'm going to reflect those circles elsewhere on the page, but somewhere that hasn't got any paint on it. And that's another great way of adding a contrast and a reflected theme. So use any of the contrasts that you have and play with them, and remember, busy areas and not busy areas also make a nice contrast too, so don't feel that you have to fill the whole page with pen work, but of course if you want to you can, that's totally fine, there's no rule that says you can't. But for my piece I'm definitely going to use that pen and no pen as one of my contrasts. And if you want to, go ahead and add in another pen colour. I'm just using white here to add some highlights to some of the doodles I've already got down on the page, but you could go all out and add another layer of doodles in another colour if you have one. I had a whole lot of fun doing this exercise with you today. If you enjoyed it, then please do let me know, and feel free to share the results of what you've made with me on social media. I'd absolutely love to see it. And all of the links to my social media are in the description, so click that show more button or the triangle to find them. And please do like the video too and share it with your creative friends, and of course become a subscriber if you aren't already for more art tips, tutorials and inspiration. If you're now in a doodly frame of mind and fancy doing some more or some drawing, then I've got plenty of doodling and drawing inspiration videos for you to watch, and here's some suggestions. And I can't wait to see what you all do, so have a fun creative few days until I catch up with you again on Wednesday.